Hey everyone, it's Dawn from Rising Dawn Yoga Studio.
How's everything? My name is Ben Kimmel from Dawn from Rising Dawn Studio.
He came here all the way from New York to work with me. We have some exciting news for you guys about what we're going to be bringing to offer you. But before we get started on that, I have to tell the story.
Please.
Please. So I picked Ben up from the airport and we are driving, and I live in what I would say is a pretty rural area of Virginia.
Calm, quiet, nothing ever happens.
And I'm telling him as we're driving, and this is like after midnight, right? He had a late flight in, that there's nothing that goes on here. It's very quiet where I live. It's pretty, not a lot of excitement, very low key here. And then
so this little red Toyota Corolla goes right past, lights off. And I go, this guy, and I called him whatever word you think I called him, goes flying right past. And she's like, don't worry, I think they got him, because you saw all the lights from the police cars.
Yeah, I can see the behind me in the rear view, and I'm going, oh, don't worry, they got him.
I'm like, I don't think so, because he wasn't slowing down. We got to see like a real live, like cops, bad boys, what you gonna do, car chase. And I'm like, yeah, so this is your neighborhood, right? Nothing happens.
And he's like, yeah, nothing happens here, Dawn. It's real quiet.
But they did get him.
They got him. And so this is the funny thing. So after like 10 cop cars were in pursuit of this guy, came flying past us. We
well, then slowpoke.
Oh, and then there was the one cop who was obviously
didn't want to get there.
Yeah, he was not ready for the scene. So he was kind of cruising along behind the crowd. But anyway, so we see all the lights up ahead, and I'm like, oh my God, I get all excited. I go, look. I was like, they got him. And so we slow down, so of course we can be nosy and be those looky-loos that have to see what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And what do we see? The guy he was going with the flow of traffic on our side. He apparently tried to jump the median and go back the other way, and
wasn't well thought of because it's a big dip. So the car was upside down, and the largest officer of the law, the biggest man you could think.
He was like The Rock.
Yeah, he had the biggest gun you could think of, like a big AR, and he was just leaning, and obviously we couldn't hear what he was saying, but you could tell he was speaking in a way as if to say, you probably shouldn't move. But it was, so this is your spot. Everyone's quiet.
So this was Ben's introduction to my rural Virginia living that I claimed was so quiet.
But you know what? It was kind of cool, because we got to see a chase. But it was, one thing we talk about a lot is energy and how life is always going to happen. And either life can happen and we can react and we can respond, or life can happen and we can accept this is life happening. We don't have to attach to it, and we can kind of let it flow. So I think you had been mentioning some of the ideas that we had, and what inspired this second Q&A.
So Ben and I have been talking about what is it that we wanted to collaborate on, mental health specialty, along with meditation, coaching, and life coaching in general. And we came to the commonality of the word empowerment kept coming up. That was a definite, we want to show people how to empower themselves. This is not something that Ben and I want to do for you. We want you to empower yourself, and we want to give you tools and techniques and just things you can rely onto how to kind of unpack whatever's going on with you, and then also bring that to a place of empowerment for you, because that seemed to be what we said. Most people, when we talk to most people, like,
we were asking, what is it?
Yeah. So those of you who are watching right now, as we continue to move through this, post what is empowerment, right? To you. What does it mean to you? Or what is it that you look for when you think about, I want my life, I want to empower myself? What is the topic for yourself?
So when we talk about words and we use the words motivation or we use the word inspiration. So these are words and they have meaning, right? But at the same time, it's neither positive nor negative. It's just it's a tool, so to speak, like Dawn was mentioning, but it needs a direction to flow. So motivation isn't good or bad. It's energy that needs direction. Inspiration. I've been inspired to argue and yell, but is that positive or negative? No. So you can be inspired, you can be motivated, but what does that mean to you? Then if we talk about enlightenment, and this is something that's been a topic, because we've been working on this for a while now, and when you talk about enlightenment,
since the car chase.
Yeah, since the car chase. We're literally talking about this, and then all of a sudden, oh, look, another cop. But except for Slowpoke, he didn't want to make it.
Ben, they're still coming.
So when we talk about the word enlightenment, like what is, and there's people on there, and if you're comfortable sharing, what does the word enlightenment mean to you?
Yeah, empowerment and enlightenment. We would love to hear from you right now in the comments. Like, what does empowerment mean to you? What does enlightenment mean to you? So what we've been working on is, we kind of thought about our own journey and our own paths, and everybody has their own individual steps to, and their journey and their paths in life of where they've gotten to and how they got there. And we've all had those moments along the way. Sometimes the ones that I find, and I think you found too, that are most challenging, bring you to your knees, almost destroy you in many ways, turn out to be the most empowering moments of where things shift for yourself.
Right. So I think
oh wait, somebody's writing.
Okay.
Empowerment, the ability to recognize energies and manage to your highest and greatest good. I love that.
I think that's excellent. Now, please forgive. We both wear glasses, and if I look like this, I may be old, and I may look old when I read that. Like, what is she saying? And I'm losing my hearing, which is great. So it makes me a good listener.
We laughed. We were like, oh my God, between, I can't see, he can't hear, and we're going to be here like, what?
This is great. So empowerment.
Yeah.
So life is going to happen no matter what, right? So there's always going to be good, bad in between. Forgetting about the good, bad, right, wrong, pass, fail. Life is going to happen. And we know this. So empowerment doesn't mean challenges don't exist. Empowerment doesn't mean that the weight against you is not going to be real. It's just you're no longer giving in to procrastination. The effort is no longer intimidating, because really empowerment is you found the worth and the value of whatever it is you're looking to do. So when we decided we're going to create a 6-part program. 6.
Yeah, this would be online Zoom class, but it'll be six classes. And
they're 1-hour classes. So we're going to split this up differently. So obviously the mental or the emotional does interact with the physical, and a lot of times when we come to a realization, you're like, okay, now what? Okay, so I realize I have a problem with my relationships. I have a challenge with my relationship with food. I have a challenge with my relationship with a body image, or a coworker, or a loved one, or a spouse. That's not always the easiest thing. What are we saying?
Enlightenment, knowledge above, beyond the physical. Yes.
I love that.
Yes, so that is that knowledge.
That's it. So you know what's happening. It doesn't mean you know what's happening. That's great. You know what's happening. So if it's quote unquote bad or unfortunate, it doesn't have to dictate you or your life, because we give control to things that are beyond our control, and then what happens to us. So one thing we like to remember and we talk about is you are always going to be the square root to your own equation. That's it. So everything starts, begins, ends with you. And this 6-part series or workshop, what we're going to do is we're going to create a little workbook. And don't let the term workbook intimidate you. It's not anything big, and it's your workbook, so no one is going to know what you write down. We're going to send it to you. You can write down your answers, but we'll go over what some of the questions will look like. So everything is confidential. Everything, the anonymity is the most important part of the work we do.
Yeah, I think that's a big one that I know a lot of people have asked that question, and we wanted to make sure we address that So this would be a PDF file. If you register for the classes with us, these 6 classes, they come in a package. You'll receive the PDF file of the workbook. You'll be able to write down your answers to all of it. And basically, like we said, some people might be showing up and empowerment to them might be to improve their body image and that negative self-talk about their body image. Other people, it might be relationships.
Listen.
Finances. Maybe finances is, that's where you find you want to have empowerment in your financial aspect of life. So everybody can be bringing something different as what they're looking for, what to empower themselves with. And that's something that will be specific in your workbook that no one else is going to see.
Right.
And you have the opportunity, of course, to share it as we move through the classes on the Zoom. But if you choose not to, that's totally fine.
Right. Don't have to be on camera.
We understand vulnerability more than anything. I mean, we're both in positions where everyone experiences vulnerability in life. But we definitely want to also let you know that there's opportunity then to have a call, outside of the group, one-on-one with us, or even if you wanted both of us together to hop on a call with you where we can then talk specifically about your stuff that you would like to share privately.
So this is the way I see it. I'm someone who was, so my life as a sober person is very important to me. And when I got involved with the opiate epidemic, or so it's called, I have my own opinions on that that's for another time. But when I learned about different ways of pain management, which was a conversation that we had before, because you're programmed to believe this is the only thing that's going to stop my pain. But there are other ways to manage pain. Meditation was one. We talked about alternatives to opiates. So one of the pain management that they said was an alternative is if you take ibuprofen, if you can, and acetaminophen or aspirin at the same time, because it attacks the pain receptors from both angles. This program, because we coach the same thing from different angles, we want to approach your empowerment, your enlightenment, inspiration, and motivation from every angle. This way you have all the tools that you need to be successful. So, think of it this way. There's 3 majors: where you live, who you live with, right? And what you do for a living. So your relationship status, your job status, your living status. These 3 majors. I had all 3 of those majors change on me within the last 2 years. Yeah. So somehow I have to learn to work through that. And it can be difficult. So in the questions in the workbook, where do you want to start? What are your biggest challenges? Who's your support? What is your level of confidence from 1 to 5? What is your level of confidence that you want to achieve your goals? Everyone always says 5, by the way. Everyone's I want to achieve my goals. Of course I want to achieve my goals. Okay? Yeah. So now and we talked about this, here's where the answers start to change. Where is your level of belief that you will do what it takes?
Yeah. Let's do a little math here with those
so
numbers.
From 1 to 5, now that number starts to drop. Here is the more interesting question. And when people are being honest, especially when you are in crisis. Let's say you're in crisis mode. Let's say you are so hurt. Let's say whatever the case may be, you're hurting and you're in crisis mode and you want to feel better. You want to look better. You want to eat better. You want to exercise. What's your, from 1 to 5, what's the level that you want this? Everyone says 5. What's your level that you're willing to do everything that it takes? Let's say they say 3. Here's the last question. From 1 to 5, where do you rate yourself that you believe you can achieve this goal? Now, when people are honest, they say 1, 2. I've had people tell me -10, but it could always also be worse. The fact that you're having these conversations, I mean, you're not as bad as you are, but what do we do to bring those numbers up? Because if we can't change your belief system, then you can't change your belief system. And if you can't change your belief system, how does change become possible? Now, that's my end of it. So,
and I want to jump in for a second because right there, your belief system is your thoughts. Beliefs are just a bunch of thoughts. Sure. And if we can become aware of thoughts, which we know is what mindfulness and meditation does, then that awareness starts to expand a little. So now we're aware of thoughts, but now guess what? We start to become aware of our beliefs, our conditions, our patterns, things that we were raised with. And it's not because somebody intentionally set out, a teacher, a parent, society, right? That, or, your spouse that, is like, hey, this is what I want you to believe now. But it starts to happen over time. And we talk a lot about neuroplasticity plays a huge part in this. These neural pathways in your brain, it's like a groove. If you walked from your back door of your house to the end of your property line, you would create this path, this groove in your grass if you walk the same path over and over again. And guess what happens? Now that's the way it just flows. And that's kind of what happens with brain activity. So what we want to do is rewire that. We want to create new paths. So we don't have to stay stuck in that same conditioned pattern, belief system, whatever it is that you were so used to doing based off of, maybe from what you learned in childhood, maybe what you learned at a job or university. And that's where that awareness really starts to open up the doorway to be a little more receptive to new patterns, new changes, new ideas on how to move forward and lead you right to your place of empowerment. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's the end game. And we don't want you to stick around with us to have to keep doing classes. It's we want you to move.
We don't get effects. We like these effects.
Yeah.
These effects.
Sorry about the pause there.
So our goal is to every day reach our best possible potential, and then find out ways to surpass that. So, we're talking about biases, habitual thinking, so biased assumptions, trained opinions, and we have that. And that just leads us into the same and plugs us into the same outlet. So neuroplasticity is unplugging from a certain thought pattern, finding, creating, and building a new bridge to a new thought way, and then we plug into that. So that's where the change is. And I don't know what change is like to you. I only know what it does for me. We commonly talk about, I want to say this carefully because we've heard other coaches and we've heard other therapists, and we're like, someone should take your business away. It's just terrible. But, and I'm being honest, I'm sorry.
I know where you're going, yes.
Yeah, so they're like, listen, whatever helps you, this is about you. This program, this 6-part program, is not about anyone else. It is unique to you. No one else is going to come up with your answers. No one else is going to have, no one's going to have your information, which is really important to know. But this is your pattern.
Your anonymity and confidentiality it's important to us, and that will be respected and upheld every step of the way in our classes.
Absolutely. By the way, there's no reason why we can't have fun with this.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And like we said, it's not a one size fits all. We know that, because, my way of moving past my challenges in life are completely different than what Ben moved through in his life. Can I just jump in and ask a question, like off the cuff here?
Sure.
So I'm curious for you, because obviously I know your personal background and everything, and I know the areas that you've worked in and the different facilities and stuff. But for you, what was like some of the most rewarding moments in your career that you've worked with people doing?
Ooh, I get a little emotional on this one. So I ran a program in a homeless shelter in Bergen County for 2 years. A little more than 2 years, actually. And then I did one in the Bergen County Jail, and that was really impactful. But I think above all, so there is a movement called 22 Kill, because 22 veterans commit suicide on a daily basis. And I love my country, so I wanted to be part of that. And I was answering those phone calls, and there was one young man above all, and he told me what he saw, and he told me what he had to do, and he told me what it was like to come back. So like he was part of something, and he was he was part of a team, which was valuable, because if someone failed, that cost someone their life. And he was part of this team, and he lost all his friends. he was the only one that made. I think 6 people, and I want to be right on this. He was the only one that made it home. And I remember him asking me, "Why are you crying?" I go, "Because you won't." And he appreciated that, so we talked for a little bit, and he came home, and it was hard for him to adjust, and it was hard for him to just get in to be like a working civilian, and he had people yelling. He's like, I know how to people stop making people yell at me, and I know what that meant. Like he saw a certain life that no one should have to see. Because remember, we talk about post-traumatic stress disorder. It's not about people hurting you. It's about you seeing things you don't. It's a moral injury. You saw something that you're taught is morally wrong, and he had to endure the loss of watching 5 of his friends get killed, and he had a bracelet with their name on it. And I think the most impactful, somehow his mother reached out to me, and she said, "I don't know what you two talked about, and I don't care, but he stopped drinking." And I mean, I never heard from him after that. I never heard from him. I think his mother left a message once or twice, but like, if I do nothing else in my life, I could say I did that. But you actually,
that's amazing to me, because I knew you were working with that organization, because I remember doing the push-up challenge.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't so good at push-ups.
And neither was I. It was we did this push-up challenge for 22
push-ups for 22 days, and it's for the members that the veterans that commit suicide on a daily basis. But
I didn't know you were answering the phones, working with them on that level. Like that's really, thank you for that, because that's something. Yeah, I think there's a lot that veterans go through that people can't understand that, like you said, and unfortunately, they don't have the time or the space when they're, in, battle and conflict to express their emotions.
How do you feel today? I know someone's shooting at us.
Yeah, your emotions can't be there.
Yeah, no, you can't think, and it's so. We have this natural fear of loss, and and at the same time, we all want to be a part of something, and we want to belong. And then coming back and not belonging is I don't think you have to be in the military to understand that. I think everyone wants to fit, and when you're at work and you're not fitting in, or when you're at work and you think you're the odd person out, or when you're trying to communicate with people and you struggle with that, or even if we reflect it to self, if it's food, drugs, alcohol, some sort of compulsive behavior that you want to rid yourself of or be free of, it's you're compensating for something. So then what is it, and how do we recognize rather than deal with the symptom? How do we talk about dealing with the problem? How do we deal with what's behind that? But you actually, So I and I'm going to kind of speak up a little bit about this because I have to. I've known Dawn, and you would her. I've known her for a long for a long time, and it's weird because we knew about each other, we knew about certain things, but we didn't know a lot. Or as much as we've been like talking now, and so to me, the growth and the level of professionalism that you approach with your clients, or that I have seen, is really impressive, because I've seen coaches or therapists, clinicians, psychiatrists, psychologists, whatever you want to say, just keep coming back because they want your money, right? We want you on medication, we want you this, you're actually trying to empower people so they don't need or have to depend on us or anyone. Yeah. So I remember sharing my first my first client when I was a director in a rehab goes, "I've been having the same conversation with the same therapist for 4 years. What should I do?" I go, "Get your money back." And then you took it from there, and you showed me how you work with your clients. And I think people would really love to hear from you. Like how, what was your most impactful success, or what achievement have you seen from your clients that was just unbelievable?
I think, for me, it's definitely, obviously when they're moving on and feeling empowered and they're living their life from that space of empowerment again, that's it. I know that, I see them flourish, and that means everything to me. And the gratitude, to be a part of their journey is something special. But there's also that moment in the beginning when I connect with a client, and most of you out there, or maybe you don't, know my backstory. But when I was 14 years old, I started suffering with debilitating panic attacks, panic disorder, anxiety, and to the point where I would experience like that typical panic attack, like, oh, I'm having a heart attack, the chest pain, my arms would start to tingle and go numb, I would lose feeling in my legs, and but eventually it got to the point where the fear was so much that I would just pass out. And but one of the things in the beginning when I was going through these panic attacks that was very prevalent to me is that, that numbness and tingling in the extremities, and I would dig my fingernails into my fists, into the palms of my hands so bad, because I just needed to feel. Like, there's this weird thing that happens with panic disorder that you start to say, well, if I can feel the sensation of myself poking myself with my fingernails, then therefore I'm not dying. And the mind does this weird irrational thing that it rationalizes the fear that way. And that fear of death. So one of the ones that really clicked for me, and I remember it like it was yesterday, was there was a 16-year-old boy, and his parents brought him to talk to me because he was dealing with panic attacks and anxiety attacks. And their biggest fear was that he was, he was also depressed, and that was he trying to possibly hurt himself and harm himself because they said he was cutting his arms. And I sat and talked to him for a little while, and he was a typical teenager, was not very receptive to sharing his story. So I just started sharing mine. And I looked at his arms, and I thought, he's not cutting himself. And because I had walked in those shoes, I knew exactly what he was doing. He was scratching and digging his nails into his arms so deeply because he was experiencing that numbness and tingling that goes on when you have a panic attack. And he was trying to make sure, I'm still alive, I can feel this. And so I shared my story with him about how I used to dig my nails in sometimes in high school because I was going through, you're sitting at your desk, and I don't want people to see what I'm doing, right? Your kids in school are evil. Brutal. They're going to make fun of you. Brutal. So I would dig my nails into my jeans, into my legs, and I would scrape so I would feel, I can still feel it. Even though my legs are going numb, I'm okay. I can feel this. And I said, you're not cutting yourself, are you? I said, you're just trying to, I'm going to cry now. You're just trying to know that you're not going to die. And he said, yeah, I just wanted to feel my arm again. And I said, I got you. I understand that because I've lived it. And we went on to work together with coaching and meditation coaching, and using, of course, meditation is how I overcame anxiety and panic disorder. But he did great, and the one thing that's fantastic about kids is there's less conditioning that, because there's less time, right? You haven't lived your life 50 years of conditioning and patterns and beliefs. So, they're a little more open and receptive, and there's a little more awareness. And he did so well so quickly, and it was like one of the best things ever to just see him be like, yeah, I don't need you anymore. Take it. I'm like, bye. It was just, that was great. It was awesome. So
that was great and pretty emotional because I was that kid, and we didn't have people like us. But it's not limited to kids or anyone. Everyone has something going on. So some of the things we're going to talk about, and we can share a little bit, but I can't share it all. We're going to talk about the 8 branches of empowerment and change. So move, go, be, do. So whereas I might talk about the emotional and the thinking aspect, then there's live, love, laugh, learn. So there's the 4 L's, and that's how I was taught about your mental health. So move, go, be, do, the 8 branches of change, and then that's the physical part. but because we want to improve the 4 L's, the way you live, love, laugh, and learn. If you improve your 4 L's, well, you've improved your mental health. Remember, mental health is not good or bad; it's just a state. So, where I might talk about some of the identifying the challenge, how do we escape that? And one thing I can say, and I've witnessed, and even utilizing your skills to help myself, is you've helped people break away from the physical connection to their emotional challenge. I think is the best way I can explain it.
I love that. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, because you've helped me break away from the physical connection to the emotional challenge. Now, teach us what yoga does and how yoga, or like some sort of yoga consciousness, can help me, or anyone for that matter, physically break away from the emotional challenge.
Yeah, it's hard to summarize, but I mean the best way to say it is diving into sensations, staying in the body. And yoga, a lot of people don't understand that when we're on a mat doing poses, right? All these poses you see on this thing behind me here, right? And this is just...
she could do that.
This is just...
I can. She can.
Ben's doing it later. He doesn't know this yet.
I'm going to try. I am going to try.
But these poses are not meant for physical fitness. They're not meant for exercise. Yes, there is a component of that that is like a sidebar and a benefit. But what's really going on is on your mat, in your practice, and you're trying to do a balance pose and you're getting wobbly, you start experiencing frustration. And what I'm teaching you is how to stay in your body. Get out of that mental story, that narrative about being frustrated that you can't do it. Or maybe it's not, maybe you're holding the pose just fine, you're balancing, but now you start to look over at the person on this side of you and this side of you, and now the doubt comes in, right? And now the negative self-talk. Oh, they're doing it better than me. I'm not doing that. Now I got to move my hip this way. Oh, I should have my foot there because they have their foot like that. And it's like, nope. Let's get back in the body. Let's stay in the sensation. So I want you to then take a deep breath in, close your eyes, exhale, move your energy down, and just let your foot feel heavy. You can't let your foot feel heavy and still be going, she's got her toes pointing this direction. I need to have my toes, and so the mental narrative drops. And now you've learned how to shift your awareness from the negative self-talk to just your foot feeling heavy. And in that moment, everything shifts. And when we practice this over and over again, each time we're creating those new neural pathways again. So now you're getting out of that negative self-talk. You're staying more present and aware and in that state of now. And we talk a lot about this. I love that you have your way of speaking to it also, is that the mind is really funny. You wake up in the morning and the mind is either living 5 hours ahead in the future, or it's
6 weeks behind thinking about an argument that you had with someone and rehearsing it again, just in case. Yep.
It's like, that person said this to me and I'm still furious about it, right? And it's so funny because, this is just what the mind does. And that's fine. The mind can be the mind, but it does not get to run the show. And that's what yoga, meditation, mindfulness teach you. Ben has an amazing skill set of going right to that point and showing you how you've been stuck in that loop. And then I think, and then from there we get to, it's like, okay, once he's got you there where you can see now where your patterning is and what it is, which you never were aware of before. Now it's like, okay, well, what do I do with that? And that happens a lot with therapy. Talk therapy is, people leave the office and it's like, okay, well, now we're aware that this is all going on. Thanks, therapist. But now what do I do with it? How do I move past that to make myself feel better? Otherwise, I just go back in my same loop. And that's where I come in with a meditation and mindfulness practice to coach you into how to now not go back to the loop. Let's move into a new neural pathway. How do we create that? Okay, let me show you how, because it's not as hard as you think it is. Trust me. And again, that word empowerment, like what does that mean to you? You know, where in your life do you want to
be?
Yeah.
What do you want to be? So most people who live a life, everyone, well, obviously we all live a life, right? So the question we would have is, the life you have, is this the life you want, or is this just the life you've had? If this is just the life you have and it's not the life you want, okay, on a scale from 1 to 5, where is your level? 5 being the utmost that you want to improve that. And again, everyone's going to say 5, right? So from 1 to 5, 5 being the utmost, where is your level of belief that you can make that change? So when you change someone's neuroplasticity, we really are improving your belief system. So there's something called the Peter Principle, which I invite you to look up, because we don't want to go over everybody, but the Peter Principle is people rise to the level of their own limitations. So how do you surpass that? Because if you're stuck and say, this is the best I can ever be, well, then it's true. Well, no, you can't hypnotize because I can't be hypnotized. Well, then I guess it's true. I can't meditate because I can't calm down. Then that's true. So you become that narrative. We're changing the narrative rather than just say, well, this is all I can ever be. If you want to settle, then that's great. But we've all come through tough times. I mean, so there's this blur, and it was called COVID, and before that life was different, and now after COVID, I don't even remember what happened before COVID. Everyone has a life that they've gone through. Everyone's had a challenge, and everyone has something in their heart that they want to improve. This is about that. So we want to start with simple goal settings, and there's an acronym that I use, and that we both use, and it's called RASO, RASO, and these are your goals from now on. It's RASO, realistic, attainable, sustainable outcomes. Because if you set this goal, I'm waking up at 3:30 every morning, and I'm going to the gym. I'll be at the gym by 4 a.m. and I'm gonna run 10 miles. And then the next day you wake up at 4:15. You're like, oh well, I guess I'm not doing that. And what you do is you set yourself up for failure, and that becomes habitual too. So we want to break those habits, and we want to create a realistic, attainable, sustainable outcome for you. And that's really what we're doing with the 6-part program.
And I just wanted to say also, I think a lot of people have a big misconception when they hear the word meditation. Mm-hmm. People immediately think it means I'm in a space where I'm completely relaxed. And meditation couldn't be further from that. Meditation is a tool and a technique to become aware, to foster and increase awareness, and to let go of resistance to life as is. And that's where most people are stuck and suffering, is because they're resisting what's happening. And in meditation practice, over and over again, you learn to move past resistance. It's something where, yes, you increase a focused concentration. You increase your sensory awareness. But then you also have your third tool or technique that comes out of meditation practice, and that is equanimity. And that means to be okay with whatever is arising as it's arising. And that is where the beauty of that practice lies. And that's how you start to then move past resistance to everything in life.
Well, there's a way that you had talked about before, and I thought it was pretty brilliant. So let's say we are in a class, and you start your guided meditation, but we hear a noise. We hear a noise, and whatever that noise, it's not like jackhammering, it's just another noise. How do you help people direct from that? Rather than run from it, you say, address it and let it go through it.
Yeah, you go to it. It becomes the focal point now of we don't resist anything that arises in meditation practice. So I had, it was at a retreat setting where I was teaching a meditation class, and most serene place you could ever be. There was not, any kind of distraction going on. The room was beautiful that we were practicing in. There was no car chases. Okay. So he's like, every time she brings up peace and quiet, there's something else going on. But so I'm working
Let's do it. There we go.
We're still paused?
I don't know if we're paused or not.
Are we paused? Can anybody hear us?
Somebody wave.
All good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It said pause, I swear to God.
It did. So I said we're going to go right to the sound of those wind chimes because I'm aware that you are aware of it right now. And now we're going to talk a little bit about how deep can you go into that sound. If you did not have the word wind chime as a label, as you're in your meditation, how are you going to describe this to somebody? Tell me about the adjectives that, and this is not like you tell me during the meditation class, but they're in their mind going, I would say it's sparkly sounding, it's a sharp pinging sound, and it's like, okay, so now they're diving into the sense of hearing. And that becomes the new focal point for the meditation. It paused again. It says.
Did it? I don't think so. Okay, sorry about that. She's important, so she's getting calls and she's trying to deal with the calls. It's okay. So, all right. So go ahead, finish.
So the distraction that arises in meditation, we definitely want to keep going. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that.
Kathy, is that you? I think. Hi. So I appreciate your feedback. So sound is something that we can dive into. Your five senses. I love to talk about the fact that the body is such an amazing tool. It gives us many different ways to experience present moment right now. And if we start to bring that awareness to whatever it is, maybe it is, the sense of smell. So close your eyes and, can you really focus on what you're smelling around you right now? Or, touching. Mindfulness, I talk about this a lot with people when they tell me they get very stressed out getting ready for work in the morning. And I say, I want you to just do a few things in your morning routine. If you have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, take a sip, close your eyes, and really just taste it for a moment. And what are you tasting? What are the flavors that are there? What is the temperature of the thing that you're tasting? Is it a cold drink? Is it a hot drink? Really dive into that sense. And then from there, I'll say, okay, now when you go to get in your car and drive to work, I want you to close your eyes as you grab your seatbelt and then click it. Can you stay with that click sound? And how long does that sound of that click actually last? Those are mindful activities that take 2 seconds to do, but in that moment, you're present and you're creating more awareness for yourself in your simple little day-to-day activities. And over time, that awareness starts to grow and grow, and that actually then gives you that place where you're not in your mental activity, you're actually down into your body, and you're not having that mental narrative going like, oh my God, you got to get to work, hurry up, you're running late, blah, 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 blah. Instead, you're listening to a click of a seatbelt.
So what I would say at different points in my life, if I was listening to me, I was resistant, to say it the kindest way. And the resistance why resistance? Because change is very daring and it's brave. And most people don't have the courage it takes to address the changes they need to make. They don't do what they need to do to make those changes. So let's see. What I would do is I would listen, like, that's not real, I can't do that. And I would be looking and listening for everything. Well, that doesn't apply to me, this, that, or that's not right, that's not true. The reason why people do that isn't because it's not true or it's not true for them. It's because everyone looks for a reason why they can be inherently lazy. Because fear of change, fear of facing the truth. So I am an ordained minister, and I don't bring that into my practice. But what I do say is, The demons were afraid of the light because it exposed the darkness of their deeds. When people come into a practice like what we're doing, their fears are, well, now that I see my truth, they don't want to feel the pain. They don't want to feel the discomfort. They don't want to think. We talk about the 5 fingers of rejective thinking. So that's blame, shame, fault, guilt, regret. That becomes blame, shame, fault, guilt, regret becomes the fist that people use to beat themselves up with. So we have to step away from that constant overthinking. We have to stop beating ourselves up. You gotta be good to yourself. You really gotta be good to yourself. We deserve to be happy. But then people say, well, I don't, I'm unlovable, I'm unwanted, I'm on this, I'm on that. None of that's true. It becomes a narrative and it becomes an identity. So we're really looking to become nobody, which if you want, and this isn't ours, but we talk about it a lot. Ram Dass, there's a becoming nobody. There is a certain freedom when you don't have to be mom, you don't have to be dad, you don't have to be the CEO or the janitor or whatever label you've decided to give yourself. You can just be you. And I remember one time, we talked about this the other day. There was a jail class that I had, and it was called Breakfast with Benny. And this guy goes, well, do you identify as an alcoholic? I go, I identify as Ben. So I am someone who's lived with lifelong depression, medicated and treatment-resistant depression, and social anxiety disorder. I had to teach myself how to live. I know what suicidal ideation is on a first-name basis because it's me. But that doesn't mean it has to be me. It doesn't identify who I am. It doesn't define me. Right. I make mistakes. Mistakes don't make me. And really what this empowerment course is we want to update our thinking, almost reboot and give our software and hardware a new download, so to speak. And now you're free to live your life. So what happens let me ask you, if I improve my level of awareness, right? And then my level of consciousness improves, then I reach a level of understanding. What would you call that?
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Freedom.
That is, well, obviously, I mean, it all is freedom. One of my quotes that I often
that's what I was gonna. I hope you would say.
I put out there. One of my favorite things I quote to all my clients is that you're free when you realize the cage was made of thoughts all along. And you brought up a word, resistance, because yes, when I work with people, that is most often what I'm met with is resistance. And they tell me that, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to feel, I have pain and I don't want to feel my pain. And I say, okay, that's fine. Then let's not go to the pain. Let's go to the resistance. What does resistance feel like in your body? And then that is like, what? And then now they're focused in on what resistance feels like. Guess what's going on? One, we're not having our mental self-talk anymore. That negative self-talk is gone. The identity of the one who wants to resist drops because now we're focusing in on, I don't know what resistance feels like in my body. Well, let's figure that out. And there's a moment of inquiry that starts to happen between the client and myself, and then that shifts everything. So I welcome resistance. I like bring resistance.
So by the way, when we talk about transformational change or emotional changes or professional changes, we're a conduit. You're the change. You're the one doing the work.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah.
You're the one doing the work. We're not gonna. There's no judgment here. There's no you're right or wrong. So in this 6-part workshop, we want to identify who are we, what do we want, where do we want to be, how do we want to get there, how do we improve the relationship between the mental or the emotional and the physical. Then, and I think this is really the most important, rather than think emotionally, how do we become more of the stoic rather than being hinged upon the passion or hinged upon the problem? How do we remove that from being us, that label that I am a failure, I am this. Well, you're literally none of those, because those are just a thought. So we want to remove that because it becomes a burden. So we're going to talk about, relief from the burden of self.
Yeah.
And then we can also figure out, again, this isn't something that you're going to have to do for the rest of your life.
No.
The idea is these six parts will spark a change for you. And then from that, you have the freedom to continue your personal education in any which way you see. If you want to come back, we're certainly going to welcome you. We're certainly going to welcome you with support. In fact, the greatest thing about people coming back to classes like this is they sit and speak with other people who were in the class before, like, I'm really struggling because my belief system won't allow me to think I can surpass this level. And sometimes people come back and like, you know what? I didn't think I could stop drinking for like an hour, let alone a year or 34 years or anything like that. So there's a time where you are able to...
I didn't think I could leave my house when I was... I was agoraphobic with my panic attacks. Mine was situational, so I started to remove myself from places where I had my panic attacks, saying, okay, if I just don't go back to the movie theater, I won't have them anymore. If I don't go back to the grocery store, I won't have them anymore. And then you're in your house, and it's like, well, if I just don't go in the kitchen anymore, and you keep getting narrowed down. But if you would have told me then that I'd be sitting here having this conversation saying, hey, let me show you how you can empower yourself with this.
I think that's really valuable, because right now you're sitting with two people that the clinical world say, well, you have this thing. So aside from anxiety disorders or panic disorders, which I have too. If you would have told me, or us, because we knew each other since we were kids, if you would have said, by the way, hey Dawn, you and Ben Kimmel are going to be running seminars in your 50s, we'd have been like, yeah, someone else is doing drugs now, not us. But the great thing is recovery does happen, change does happen, relief, which is all we really want. All the mind wants is peace. It's
so funny because we're so hardwired, the mind to resist change, but yet we're both sitting here living proof of why change is so important. It's so important to embrace it, let it flow, let it be there, because without change, there's no step forward, and just like you were saying about the dark and light, you can't see your light unless you're in dark. And that's important to know that, so you celebrate all of it. I tell, for those of you who are listening, and you can wave your hand or give a thumbs up or a little heart, but how often do I say in just yoga classes, the moment you are aware that you got caught up in thoughts, right? Because you're supposed to be focused on your body, celebrate that. Don't get frustrated with, I got drifted away in thoughts again. No.
Might as well quit.
Celebrate that, because the moment you are aware of a thought, you're no longer trapped in it. And now you're moving past it and you're moving forward again. And that's it in a nutshell. You just want to celebrate those things. It's just a different way of looking at it, because like I said, resistance is great. Let's use that as a focus to now move forward. I'm in this dark place. Okay, let's move that to see where our light is. Right. Just get excited about it, because I promise you, like I said, we're both sitting here living proof of the fact that can happen. And I'm laughing too, because I could have just imagined little Dawn and Ben and me being like, excuse me.
By the way,
we're going to do this when we get older.
You're going to be a mental health specialist. I'm going to be in a mental asylum. I wouldn't have thought. 100%. But and more to what you're saying, like when we talked about those levels, 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being. So, where are you now? Where's your emotional stability? How strong do you feel from 1 to 5, 5 being the best? I'm at a 1. Well, you're not at a 0. So how do we improve from that? And it's not about being at a 5, like within hours or within minutes or within moments. It's just about a constant level of improvement. Remember, we have a RASO, a realistic, attainable, sustainable outcome. So we want to be realistic about that. Now, the great thing is this is going to be recorded, so you can watch this anytime and be like, wow, they're so cool. I want to be just like them. Which we wouldn't blame you. I know you're not allowed to say it, but I'm saying it anyway. It's funny.
Yeah.
So
keep it light.
You can watch this as many times as you want, and I challenge you to do it, because I think you're going to hear
and ask us questions. In fact, I just want to throw that out there right now. Please, if there's a question that you have right now that you want to ask us about the empowerment classes that we're going to be offering.
September, we're feeling. September feeling.
Yeah, this will be around September. We'll have the link up soon enough so you can start registering for that. But if you have questions, put them in the comments here and ask. And if you watch this video at a later date, please, message us and ask questions, because we welcome it.
And another reason I think we're offering this, and this will be recorded, is because none of the 6-part workshop is going to be recorded. So your anonymity and your confidentiality is really important to us. And it's also valuable to you, and that's the best way to honor something. Yeah,
the Zoom calls that you'll be participating in are not going to be recorded, completely confidential and anonymous. And like we said, your workbook is going to be your individualized goals and your sense of empowerment and where your work is. And you have the opportunity to share it in the Zoom calls, or if you choose to do it on a one-on-one with us, we're fine with that. I think
someone about PTSD. She jumped up because I didn't want to look, and you see up my nostrils. What does it say?
How to get my PTSD depressed veteran husband of 70 to attend.
So
how to get him to attend?
All right. Okay. We can promise free food, but it's online, so he would know we're lying. But I think that it would be an honor for us, and certainly for me, it would be an honor for us to speak to him. And maybe he doesn't have to attend.
Completely free, like phone consultation or Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. But so maybe not him, maybe you, because so hot goes to the cold, cold goes to hot, so energy transfers. So what you can learn to pick up, you could maybe learn to empower and encourage him. Not everybody is willing to. Sometimes resistance is different for other people. And
can I just throw something out there too? If he is more comfortable talking just to me or just talking to Ben, it doesn't have to be a free consultation call with just both of us.
Whatever
it could be one or the other. Really, it's whatever his comfort level is, I think would be.
So and we had talked about what PTSD, so post-traumatic stress disorder. It is a moral injury, so it's not a physical injury, which means at least a physical injury. Like, I can understand why my lower back hurts, because there's reasons why it hurts. But the pain receptors for emotions, there's no physical representation of that pain. So how do we understand that? How do we move past that? Because these post-traumatic stress disorders, these triggers, the ideas, the thoughts, the feelings, they can last for a short amount of time, or a long period of time. But that is where we're going to step in. And how do we remove that?
I think also starting with where is his resistance to joining something like this? Like finding that trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he you don't think he wants to join, well, why is that? And not your opinion of why, but his. What is his honesty? What is his truth? Everybody has a truth, and they should be able to speak it and be heard. And that's what we want to do, is hear his truth about it. And then I think knowing what his truth is about why he would not want to join or be resistant to it would then be able to help us find a different approach onto how to maybe to move him past that resistance, so he would be open to coming on and having that conversation.
If this helps, and if you want to show this to him, I will address.
I was just going to say, your experience with veterans might speak to this more. So maybe he would be open to, if he knew Ben's background with 22.
Yeah, so not 21, 22. That was a mistake, but anyway. So
I almost said it.
I will offer the 21 Jump Street. We couldn't remember the name for a second, but I will offer it to you this way, as if I am speaking to you, sir. My name is Ben Kimmel. I have lived with PTSD and seen things that hurt me very much for a very long time. So what PTSD, it's a moral injury. And why I was resistant, why I was afraid is because I didn't want it to come back. And I didn't want it to hurt me, but at the same time it did hurt me and it wouldn't go away no matter what I tried. And I wanted it to just get away from me. So if I didn't talk about it, if I didn't think about it, maybe it would leave me, but it doesn't. And then what happens is I loved a lot of people. And because I loved a lot of people, they had to deal with it because they were close to me. Mm-hmm. So if I love myself and if I love them, I had to learn how to deal with these things because I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to be the way I was. No, and when people are nasty or bitter or struggling with that whatever internal self or that whatever your symptom is from that PTSD, I didn't want to let that go. A, it's when I stopped running, I was afraid the pain would start. B, if I opened that wound, I was afraid I would never stop bleeding. I have spoken with people who, like the story that I had told before, but not even from a military perspective. I have spoken with people who have seen and undergone just terrible or unthinkable things. It's a moral injury. It is an injury that doesn't come with a physical description. And our position here, just as people who love our country, sir, and you serve this country, man, all I can tell you, the door to my home is open to you. Like, there's really, that's why we're good at what we do, because the love we have for this. We want to remove that resistance. Yeah,
I was just going to say, because I have a client that I work with privately who did, a lot of black ops work and stuff like that, and has seen a lot. And one of the things through our sessions that we've kind of discovered is, and this is kind of common, is that he does recognize that he wants to feel better and that he does have, PTSD, and the awareness is there of all of that. But what's interesting is there was identity built around that.
Mm-hmm.
I am a veteran who served my country and I have PTSD. And now that's them. And that's like saying, like, Ben, I'm going to take your whole identity from you. You're no longer Ben Kimmel. And you're like, well, then who am I? Yeah. And that's what happens with people when they're identified with their condition. And it's very scary. And we understand that. And that is met with a level of compassion and love and understanding. And we're not just tearing down your identity, but we are going to give you opportunities through practices and techniques to start to experience yourself beyond that identity you've created. And when you start to experience yourself beyond that, you start to go, oh, it's okay to let that drop. Now I feel safe. You need to feel safe to be able to let that identity drop, and that's only done through experience. There's no conceptual way for us to sit here and make you understand it, but you will start to experience it, and when you feel safe and you're experiencing it, then you'll let it go.
So one thing I think that, and it kind of springboards off what Dawn was saying, is we're not talk therapy.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk about anything.
No. No.
If you want to, certainly here. But our position in your transformational change is to get you from point A to point B. And whatever resources we need to help you tie together to make that so, well, then we'll do that. But this isn't talk therapy. You don't have to talk about what you saw, what you did, what you heard, what you thought, what you knew, because that is the symptom. So we want to remove that. We want to remove that blockage so that we can.
It's not about the story, because we talk so much about the chemistry that gets fired off in the body. And that is what we want to address, is let's change the energy in the body that fires off the chemistry, those chemicals that create that epinephrine rush, which then trigger a cortisol increase. And now, there's all this going on in the body. That's what we're interested in stopping, so you feel better. And when you feel better, then
you live better.
Then you feel free. You feel empowered. And that's really what the goal of and what this work is all about, what these classes are all about. And I think that's important for people to understand, is that chemistry, that underlying physiological response that's happening, because and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way to anyone who's paying attention and watching this right now or even at a later date, but your body does not care about the story of why it's
even if you
experiencing fear.
Right.
Fear is fear in the body, whether you see a big scary spider running across your foot in your bedroom, or if somebody has a gun to your head, or if you just got a terrible diagnosis from the doctor, you being challenged with layoffs at work. Fear is experienced the same way physiologically in the body, and that's what we're interested in, stopping that fear response. And whatever that, it doesn't have to be just fear, anger, whatever, but let's recognize that and let's get a hold of that, because when that changes, that physiological response is caught quickly and changed, you feel better, you're free, you get free, and suddenly the story just drops on its own. You don't really have to work so hard.
You don't have to go back and relive it anymore.
You don't have to. And it's just like me with my panic attacks, there was a strong chemical reaction that was firing off all the time, making me feel numb in my arms and legs, to the point where I would pass out and my parents were picking me up off the floor and rushing me to the emergency room. The story about what was going on at that moment really didn't matter. It was, how do we stop this? And, of course, that's what my meditation practice did for me. But there's so many different doorways to get to that room of freedom and peace and empowerment. And we have so many different approaches, but that's what we want to share with you, so you can stop that physiological chemical reaction.
So when they tell you if you're experiencing depression, they say if you exercise, your body physiologically changes. And that's why they say exercise is probably one of the best antidepressants, which I can attest to. So when when Dawn had talked about the way to create a physical release to an emotional attachment, and now we have to also, we talk about thoughts and we talked about ideas. So they're neither fact nor fiction, they're just a thought or an idea. They might be based on truth, but it's not about that. So most people don't know the difference between a thought, an idea, a feeling, or an emotion. And we were joking about living in the past and like reliving a conversation. How many times have you relived an argument or something that was some either unaddressed or some sort of unresolved tension that you had with someone? Think about, everyone's had an argument with their spouse or an ex-wife. Hi. And think about the time you wish you said something different and how you rehearsed that argument in your mind. You're literally talking to yourself, and I'm going to tell her, and it's not even real. It doesn't even exist anymore. But what's happening is your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and fantasy. You're getting yourself so worked up.
Yes.
So your energy picks up. So when you start thinking of, then therefore it becomes real. We're going to remove that energy.
Yeah.
So this way, the end result is your emotion. That's it. It's your chemistry.
Yeah.
Once we remove that, once you don't have that weight or that nervous or that just draw, that spinning stomach rage, once that's free, and once you don't have fear, once you don't have anger, think about how much energy you'll have to do other things. And that, I guess I'll end that point with, consider your mind.
By the way, I just wanted to thank you for asking us that question.
Yes.
That was a great question, and I hope that we
Yeah,
answered it well.
I think we did.
Does anybody else have any questions for us?
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to wrap it up soon.
But,
but yeah, I just wanted to, make sure we address anything, any questions. It doesn't have to just be about the empowerment classes. I mean, whatever is coming up for you right now, we're happy to answer. If you want to talk a little bit about like Ben's background or mine, if you're, because we didn't get into all that, but we just are kind of leaving it open for, again, a Q&A. So if you guys wanted to ask anything, please go ahead and do so.
Right.
But, I'm going to turn a light on because
it's getting dark. It's not going to rain out. Last night it rained so hard in Virginia. I've never seen it rain like this before.
Sitting on my foot and my foot.
Careful.
Right now.
So, look, the mind is this big mansion.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
So the mind's this big mansion, right? And you have, remember they told you, save energy, shut the lights off? Imagine how many rooms you have in your mind and how many lights are on. So we want to kind of shut those lights off, save your energy, conserve your energy. Well, this is a different light.
I'm kidding.
We need this light, but and I hear thunder, so it's gonna rain really hard again.
Here we go again.
Yeah, yesterday was the craziest rain ever, but I you know, and just on a personal, we appreciate this. We love this. This makes us happy. Yeah. So look, if you went and you took your car to a repair mechanic, would you want to take it to someone who's miserable or who's going to lie to you about what needs to be fixed? Yeah. Or do you want to speak to someone who says, hey, let's work on this together, let me get this taken care of for you, and has some sort of positive reinforcing attitude that you feel comfortable when you go home? And I think that's our goal. It's not just about change, it's not just about freedom, it's about you enjoying what this process is, because you can have fun with this. What does it say? Oh, there's someone saying something.
Let me see. It says, if the veteran isn't willing to join a class, can we schedule private sessions?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
We both do private sessions.
Yeah. Sure.
And we would be willing to do a session if they were comfortable with both of us being there.
Whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't see anything holding us back.
No, it's to make it comfortable for them, whatever that looks like.
If this person is willing to listen now or whenever, we're pretty easy to find.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you kind of know where to get us, so absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, just like you said, having fun with it, knowing that there is a support system here too. Mm-hmm. This is the other thing that I think is so important to both of us when we work with our own clients privately, outside of, we both have our own businesses, but working together with clients is just, we want you to know that you're fully supported from both of us at all times. And even after the classes end,
we're still here.
We're here for you. This is something, any one of my clients who could, speak to this, please, make a comment. But I'm always available, text, emails, and if that's not enough to answer quickly, then let's schedule a phone call. Let's talk, because no, this is a support. This is a community of support.
And I think so. We've been doing this for a while, and I've consulted Dawn just because I want her take on some of the work that I do, and I think vice versa. Yeah. But what we are looking to do is build a community. So there's going to be a Rising Dawn community, and because I think it's time that, remember, every morning you got a new sunrise, you got a new chance, and I think that's what this is really about. Giving ourselves, you and our community, a new chance. But it's not about authority, hierarchy, who knows what, who knows. We're all here together. And I think the vet, sir, you would appreciate the fact that unit cohesion is what keeps a Marine alive. So you have our word that you do have our cohesion, and we are here.
Does Ben use hypnosis in his work? Because yes, you are a hypnotist.
I am a certified hypnotist, a consulting hypnotist.
Yeah.
I use it with caution, because sometimes I don't.
When the time is appropriate. It's not used in every session.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. So hypnosis is great, but I think people, I can't make you bark like a dog and forget your name for 20 minutes. Like, none of that's going to happen. When people say, oh, I took hypnosis to quit smoking and it didn't work. I'm like, nah, it didn't. Like, that's all you got to say? Aren't you a hypnotist? I'm like, yeah, but that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So someone said they went to hypnotist and they quit smoking because they wanted to. Whatever your subconscious mind wants to do, if I tell you if I hypnotize you and I say jump off the building, you're not going to do it because your subconscious mind's going to be, no, that's not what I want. If you want to improve, you will. So we will stand by you by any means necessary.
Yeah, it's not like meditation is something that I use with every session either. It's a tool for self-inquiry, but there's other tools for self-inquiry that work better. And it's funny that you say that about hypnosis, because a lot of people think with meditation too, it's the same thing. Like, it's supposed to be, meant to relax me. And, it also means that I need to, silence my thoughts. I don't know where that really comes from, to be honest with you, but that is definitely the narrative that's constantly out there now in the world, that, I need to quiet my mind. And I'm like, no, actually, we need to learn how to work with our thoughts. And that's the technique of meditation. That's what it's doing. You become aware of the thoughts, and now we learn how to work with the thoughts. You need to build a new relationship with your thoughts. You don't need to quiet and silence it.
So similar to pain, right? And I have a question, because you and I talked about chronic pain. We were talking about this literally before we jumped on this, about chronic pain and people being on opiates and or some sort of narcotic. And you would say, well, I don't do that. And you had talked about your meditation process and how that helps you deal with pain.
Yeah, I have an interesting rare condition that if I take any type of a morphine derivative pain narcotic, pain relief, I will start to have contractions and spasms of your smooth muscle in your body, which is your entire digestive tract, from your throat all the way down to where it comes out.
So okay, now if that happens, if you can alleviate that problem through, and this is a really important question that I think the veteran would love to know about. So if that can happen through pain management, now we're talking about...
Yeah, because I can't take pain meds. So for instance, like when I had surgery, I had an abdominal hysterectomy. I mean, that's a huge, major cutting open of your stomach. Plus, I also had at the same time them cutting open my thigh to take tissue out to help reconstruct this whole process of putting me back together. But anyway, I could not have pain relief for this. And they were trying to give me, as I come out of surgery, a drip of Dilaudid in my arm. And I said, I will rip this IV out of me. You have to get it out because of my condition, because it was making my pain worse, because my whole body was going into smooth muscle spasm. So they're like, what are you going to do for pain relief? And I'm like, I've been meditating for 30 years. I'm good. And I can use meditation to move past pain. And honestly, you're not moving past it, you're moving into it, but that's a whole other story.
Here is what, now I'm going to bring this around to depression, depressive thinking, anxiety, or PTSD. Now, when there's receptors in the brain, there's a GABA glutamate that kind of builds up in between that. And sure, people use medication to reduce the GABA glutamate so that the brain and the receptors fire off and communicate easier, and it helps you create that new neural pathway. That being said, if meditation can alleviate such intense pain after surgery, then it would also equally be true that meditation can do the same transformation when we talk about depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. So I really would encourage that learning more about self-meditation, because again, hypnosis is a great tool, but we would like to work with you on a slow, incremental basis, not to keep you here and just be you're ours now. You're ours anyway, because you're a family. You're part of a family now. But it's also more to we want to set you up for victory. We want
show you how to experience changing your own chemical makeup.
Right. No, I think so.
Yeah, that's what you're doing, is you changing your own chemical makeup when you are using these practices, these tools, these techniques. And again, goes back to when you feel better,
you live better.
You live better, and that's what it's all about. So
it's basically, if you
look, and you're welcome. I see. She said, "Wonderful, thank you."
God bless you, and God bless the vet. But so think of it this way: cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
So CBT therapy. It's I wouldn't say we're CBT therapists, but we understand the principles, and it's if you change your behavior, you can change your thinking. If you can change your thinking, you can change your feelings. If you can change your feelings, then you change your emotional, or the aftermath, which is your chemistry. Yeah. So we're not talking about I think, I'm gonna. We're all about action. We are an action-based plan.
Yes.
This isn't talk therapy. We can talk if you need someone to speak with. We're here. If you need guidance, we're here. We're not here as doctors. We're not here as psychiatrists. We're not here to prescribe you medication. We are here to encourage whatever necessary pathway fits your needs. So if you decide to be on that call or that 6-part,
She's saying something.
it's too far.
He's been in therapy with the VA for years.
Yeah. God bless the dead, my cousin was too.
And
and
no change, she said, but I'm praying he is willing.
I'm praying he's willing, not just because I want him to be free.
Yeah.
You know, obviously he's an important person to you, and obviously you have a great amount of love for him. All right. I used to do a lot of work for law enforcement, and I used to do a lot of work for firemen in the fire department at FDNY, NYPD, and I have also, obviously 22 Kill, and we live in this country where society is kind of a funny thing, and these people give their life literally to protect us, or to protect our freedoms, or protect our community, or serve our community, or put out fires, or whatever the case may be. And they have to sort of create this narrative in their head to protect themselves. And we, as citizens, we overlook that.
He said, "Yes, freedom, so cool."
Yeah, it is our responsibility equally, because it's called a civic duty.
Yeah.
We're all supposed to take care of our country, and we are moving up on the anniversary date, 9/11. I was there in the city when it happened, and I lost my friends. And we do understand that there are really tough subjects that need to be addressed, but you know what? If we've been doing something for a long time and it's not worked, maybe we need to do something different.
Different approach,
right.
Yeah. And one thing, just jumping off of what you were saying about civic duties and all of that to each other, but in my realm where I practice and work, obviously in a yogic practice, is I truly believe in the energy's got to move itself forward. There's a collectiveness between all of us. If it's a faith-based thing, I've often heard people use the quote, "We're all just souls walking each other home." Mm-hmm. And I love that.
That's great.
And it speaks to the energy of what we are. Mm-hmm. And I believe that, we have to collectively move it. So that's what drives us. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about.
We are all just souls walking each other home, and I think that's pretty beautiful.
That's good.
So look, you have this recorded. The 6 sessions, that 6-part workshop is not going to be recorded. But if anyone who wants to join, look.
Here goes the thunder.
Here goes the thunder. If you like it, tell a friend. If you don't like it, tell an enemy. Either way, it's fine. But it really is going to be an empowering workshop, and I really think that anyone can enjoy it, and let them come. Let him come, and if he doesn't like it,
the beauty of it, you're in your own home.
Yeah.
And if you absolutely hate us, just turn your computer off.
Tell someone you don't like. Watch this guy. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But I think.
Well,
what does this say? Okay. I wish I saw better. I miss being young.
What is the cost?
Well, we're going to work that out. And that is something that we're going to talk about separately, because we want to decide how long it's going to be and what kind of...
Yeah, we know 6 sessions, but we're trying to figure out what the time frame is going to look like for...
we're going to build the course.
Individual calls and the workbook too.
Right. So I don't think...
But September, it will be in September.
It will be
September. We're going to have this all wrapped up soon.
I see that. What do you think we should charge? $1,000 a person. I think that's too much. But no, we're gonna enjoy this. I think you will too. even if the veteran who obviously is connected to you doesn't show you, I think it would be real powerful for you, because change can be contagious. So when he sees your reaction is different. Oh, I saw a price. Is that a number?
$1.
$1 a minute.
Just kidding.
Thank you.
Love it.
Listen,
that's what we said. Let's have fun with this.
I was coaching someone who had a weight problem, and I walk into his office because he asked me to come meet him, and he had more food on his desk than books or papers or anything. I'm like, buddy, what are we doing here? He's like, listen, I didn't think you were gonna come. I didn't think you were gonna show up. I'm like, you got a lot of food. He goes, yeah. So he showed me. He started telling me about this program. He spent $10,000 to go to LA. Remember I showed you with the book?
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
So I go, you spent 10 grand on this? He goes, I spent all this money and I still can't help myself. I said, well, you probably should stop eating like this. And that would make a little difference. So we sat down and we talked, and he showed me the book. He goes, I got this book with that program. It was a week-long program. It was in LA, and I went to this thing, and he goes, you just told me more, everything in that book. You just told me that and more in 15 minutes. So listen, we're not here. Yeah. We're certainly not here to break your bank. We're here to build a community. We do have expenses, but I know everyone knows that's fair. You're going to get your value and then some, because not only are you going to be empowered, you're going to help empower the people around you, because your change is going to constitute their change.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
I love it too. So,
all right.
Are we good? Are you good?
I think so.
I'm not charging $1. $1.63. My mother used to say $1.38.
No, remember? All right. Price is Right?
Price, yeah.
When we grew up and you stayed home from school, that was all that you ever had to watch on TV. Mm-hmm. And it was always, when they would do the bidding, someone would bid $1.
Yeah, because closest to without going over.
Yeah, and then there was $1, and then there was always that person that would come in right next and go, I'll bid $1.01.
Yeah, and then that person,
and you were like, I hate you.
It's $636 for the refrigerator bill. $1, and then that guy got it for $1. So it was great.
Yeah.
But thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for all your questions.
And you know, if you need anyone's info, just reach out and we'll.
Yeah, if you want to do a consult call for free with
town,
us.
Yeah, I'm in town until tomorrow morning.
But we're still, outside of that, we're available for.
I have a phone. Look, see,
yeah.
It works. Ooh, it's doing something. But we can set up a call, and we'll be more than happy to be there for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And please, whenever you watch this video, if you have questions for us, just reach out.
Reach out. It's going to be a fun workshop.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
Yeah, we're a little goofy.
Namaste is what I'm supposed to say. And that kind of rhymed. Namaste is what I'm supposed to say.
Oh, it did. Look at you.
Poet, and I didn't even know.
Okay.
I did.
I think we're ending on that note.
Yeah. Have a good one, folks.
All right, bye.